And I almost airport around 80 Juma. Now, if you monitor it, I'm a past brain. And for a motorbike, so that brain, the next motorbike number, no NCIC, so I should more to concern. Now, so a camera is a motorbike or motor. Me and Fatty not a true. Penna almost crossing William Van. Now, as a police, you know,
100 kilograms. Okay, so that one goes with 1,000 grams of chemical. Like I told you, just looking at it from the oil and then the oil. Yeah, I yeah, that is a nice one. Yes, sir. Okay. I look at it and I was like, oh, you anyway. This time it's not me paying directly. Okay, that's a new yellow thing. So we're doing what? Yeah, that's us. What's the one called cry? This is activated charcoal. 1,320 liters of water to be used to mix 1 kilogram of the chemical for the gold extraction. This is the sample to be tested. It's been weighed and is 100 kilograms. This machine is used to size the gravel, and the purpose is to discard the oversized materials. Cleaning, getting the kilograms to go through this process, getting the right pH of the water, getting the right pH of the solution, going to the heap rich tank, what is down there, what percentage of water has to be added to the stuff.
I'll start answering you with a question. So what is your knowledge about mineral processing? Do you have any knowledge about mineral processing?
Let's say.
So I'll start from scratch. If you can remember, when you were young, maybe in JHS, I'm sure a question was posed to you by your teacher one day. He asked you, if you have salt and sand mixed together and you want to separate the salt from the sand, what do you do? It was a very simple question. We were all able to answer it. We were like, you pour water inside. When you pour water inside, the water is going to dissolve the salt or the sugar. Then after, you filter. When you filter, then you evaporate. Then now you have your sand, you have your sugar, you have your water. So basically, I'm safe to say that that is where the origin of leaching came from. So in this case, you have gold acting as your sand, as your sugar. You have the sand acting as, let's say, your waste material. So why a chemical? Now, unlike sand, unlike sugar, gold cannot be dissolved by water. So you need to create a solution that can dissolve your gold. Or you need a solvent that can dissolve the sand. And not dissolve the sand. It dissolves only the gold and leave the sand. So a lot of chemicals have been used, but most of them have proven not to be human friendly. Some of them have been toxic. Now, you have a chemical here that can do the work of those toxic chemicals, and that's the chemical we are trying out today. So basically what we are doing is we are trying to use this chemical to dissolve the gold into solution. So now we have the gold in solution. Then after we have the gold in solution, instead of evaporating like we used to do back in the day, in this particular one we have other processes that I'll discuss as I go as time goes on. So with the chemical that we have, under normal circumstances, you just dissolve your chemical, just add it, then you go on. But everything in this industry is proportional for a reason or two. One, one of the reasons is that the chemicals we use are expensive, so you don't want to use the chemicals unnecessarily. Another reason too is that sometimes when you use the chemical, it's effective till a point, then it begins to plateau. So you want to use the optimum amount you need for your process. And another thing too is that you need to add certain chemicals to it in order to make your dissolution effective. So I'm going to take them chemical by chemical and tell you exactly what that chemical does. So over here you can tell we added caustic soda and we added leaching reagent. So the caustic soda here is acting as your pH modifier. It also makes the gold ions mobile enough so that they can move from the solid state into the solvent, the liquid state, which is the solution state. So that is the reason why we added the caustic soda. Then you move to the chemical. Now
can you explain the alkalinity bit of it?
Okay, so in order for the chemical to be effective, right, and in order to get a suitable pH, you need to add caustic soda. Now I was explaining early on that especially when we used to use other chemicals like cyanide and all those things, they were harmful to us, especially if or when we are not adding the caustic soda. The main reason being that the sodium cyanide, right, when you get it into solution, which is purely water, the hydrogen in the H2O reacts with the sodium cyanide to form hydrogen cyanide gas, which is harmful for human consumption and even
inhalation.
So what you do is you add the caustics to increase the pH. If you remember back in the day, the power of hydrogen. So the more acidic it is, the higher the power of hydrogen, and the lower the vice versa, the power of sodium hydroxide. So the other way around, when you increase the pH, it means that the hydroxide level is increasing, which is inversely proportional to the power of hydrogen. So the hydrogen is not available to react with the sodium cyanide to produce that hydrogen cyanide gas. That's harmful. So that's one of the main reasons why the pH caustic soda and the pH modifies.
They are not for 6 hours now.
Oh, man, 6 hours.
We in 8 hours.
Yeah,
this is 5:45.
But we can resume. You do pH explanation.
Also that mobility.
That's it.
Play.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So yes, so that's with the pH. So with the mobility, right? Okay. So this is technical.
Everything the car, just go straight to the point. Simple, so that we understand.
So oxygen forms, in technicality, right? Oxygen does the leaching, then the cyanide and the other chemicals do the complex.
What's complex?
So basically, when you leach, you just get the ions into solution, but then they are just ions. And as we learned back in the day, ions are unstable, right? So if you just leave ions just the way it is, like you've not done anything. So you need another ion that can, I don't want to say react, because if you say react, it means it forms a completely different molecule. But when you say it's forming a complex, it means like it's making it stable without necessarily reacting to it. when you use the caustic, right, and it's acting as it's helping the mobility. Basically, it means that you get the gold complex to move freely amongst the solution in order to get access to the complex reagents, which usually used to be cyanide, but in this particular case, it's another chemical that.
Yeah, this chemical is SEYCHEM CFX 100.
Yes.
SEYCHEM, yeah.
100. We'll leave some.
Okay. We'll leave some for the second. I think it's on video now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So if you can please explain this stage now. Kojo, if you can please explain this stage now. Yeah.
Tell us
Now,
what you are doing.
we've gotten the suitable pH. So we are going to add the chemical to it so that we get the required concentration suitable for the leaching process. And by calculation, the required chemical we need is 1.625 kilos. So we are pouring it in and it's being stirred so that in case you don't stir, it's possible that they will settle at the bottom. So you have to stir so that we get the uniform mixture.
Yes, it's capturing well.
You are not doing titration. I'll make sure that it's well dissolved.
There in your office, your site, your plant. The Batawaba. I'm to Ubet me about Batawaba.
Okay.
I am fun. Then walk on. Then fun. I drop you.
But
You need to know go.
They will want to come here when you are already getting the pregnancy.
Yeah. Manager. Good morning. Point 2 and 3. Aye. Pacho me now way why me enter be me way out. I may win is a free. I calculate level you did you been laptop. Oh, wait there, you have only say the fee.
But collagen.
And the original color is ash powder, but I'm saying oxidation, exposure to humidity and high temperature.
And the
money reacts. But the main color is plain ash. The original.
And then because your rebag is open, we've opened the whole bag and then it has sand. 500.
Yeah, 500. Yeah, 500. Everyone was saying, okay, that was what occurred to me. How about mechanizing the steering? Yeah.
What the
agitator.
Okay, me va.
Oh. And lime in Ibina. Probably, it's the same.
Some of these things, psychologically, you have to go through that.
Lime, no. I don't know. It's a lime in the gumin kakra. Maybe boppity gunin. Did I say the lime? The soda. 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 Yeah, the lime is over. I mean, it's lime. Soda, no make. Wait.
What you said is right. What the idea actually? I brown.
check the skill, check the reality. And we want to see the show. Look at the animal there. Ah, I say, and yet, China, bucket, 115. 115. Daddy, 115. Daddy, go. 115. Anyway, back at Papa Bawai. I'm not in so crown. So, I'm going to film. See, when you contain weight. When they weigh pepper 100 kg pepper. Just say you soak a cranny base in weight. Asa. Okay, and that's Asa. If you need to know who will mail from the I don't know around. I'm over collecting. That's all the you can be pressure one time and I will. Let me say, pressure my man come and we can own. I don't blind, that's all. I don't blind, it's no number. Maybe I want to gem now, we can gel it. No, what's up? Small plants. I see.
Kojo, make this guy wear one, then you two, those two closest to it. I'll bring you one spare red close to in case you go have need for it. But mama had one in the cup, not on no kaka. Because we Benanto, I said, there was this or see again. I didn't do hospital. Why I didn't or they do have my wash. Yes,
na mumie no mo betumi esom
the phone one here. Straight matches, I'm on my pedal.
Samu.
Ebe huru mu yeah. Bonyo ebi ba o, eba. Yeah, but say it's not supposed to.
Your side is closing.
It's not closed.
Therefore, they are then.
Won't don't go away. I see a baby with the seed. Won't you see? Don't go away. I ain't how we do. But you want to them, child. Yes. So you bring your duster that I had your teacher.
So this is how we put the container. I said, we need more of that to collect the pregnancy. So this is not where it grows. Over to me.
Maybe me, you have to see the dogun. Don't go away. The fashion dogun. You shouldn't pass your banana.
The quantity that is coming is not worrisome because in the end, after it comes, you have to.
Yeah, you need to cross.
Yeah, into a silly to go and you and you see you come back. You want to only chemical, the liquid will go. A guy won't.
No, we are going to leave it for a while.
You get it? Oh, they say it's you look and copy and put and the MP just on the whole para. The MP just so open so you card number.
When they come out. So the 5 that's the body. This sort of liquids. I hope that one they are going to.
Rubber is fine. Rubber is found.
We can.
That's the.
I think they know what you give them. I don't know whether it's catered for.
Yeah, there is a valve there.
The design.
Yeah, there is a valve there, and you cannot leave valve open without it being monitored.
Then we need to tell them that.
So where this whole
Can't it be even designed like a tap net?
that is a valve.
Okay.
That is it. So that you open and close.
Why there is calling? Compared to 10.
What we did the first analysis 8 hours, then we change to 8 hours. So if we're using 8 hours, when we are working, think of it. We are at the end of it. So that period, when they do better.
Now can I hold down? see nuggets. Nuggets in the manner. Okay.
So yes, so that's about the
I don't know your
that aside. Then the next chemical we added was the SEYCHEM
CFX 100.
CFX 100. Okay. So that is what we are using for the leaching complex. Like let's use for the purpose of this, let's say leaching.
So instead of using cyanide, you use the second.
Yes,
That's right.
the second.
That's non-toxic.
Okay.
That's non-toxic. Leaching reagent.
Your leaching reagent. So yes, so that's why we added it for the leaching purposes, because we need a chemical that is going to do the leaching, extract the food, or get the food in its solution.
And the big deal is that this one is friendly, unlike the enemy.
Yes. And the good thing about this chemical is that it's very user friendly and not toxic or harmful for the one operating.
Has there been any testing to prove that?
So much, several testing. We'll get all the reports online.
Okay.
Led by Professor Ahim.
You can see.
I'm not dead. As you can see, I am not dead.
Let's go on, Massa. I don't want to go. Let you go now.
So yeah, so yes, so that's one aspect of it. Now to the next aspect, we have a number of ways leaching is done. So we have the carbon leach, which is CIL. We have the CIP, carbon report. We have carbon solution. And we have the heat leaching. So what we are doing here is heat leaching. Let me just brush through the others and I'll pay more attention. Or let me just repeat. So okay, since we are doing heat leaching, let me explain it. Heat leaching, basically, heat leaching was generally designed for ores that have low grade and also ores that the producer or the company doesn't have enough financial resources or doesn't want to put too much financial investment.
Simple and
because
less cost.
It's cost friendly. Yes. So that is the main reason people opt for the heat leaching. Now what we are doing here is the heat leaching process. So in the heat leaching process, what we do is we have two forms. One form we do agglomeration before we do the leaching, but in other forms too we treat the material as it is. This particular one we're treating the material as it is. So what you do is you prepare your solution, then you prepare your ore. So the solution basically, after you do your calculation to derive the required amount of SEYCHEM you need to add and the required amount of caustic you need to add, you prepare your solution, which is called elixir. So you prepare your
which is called
elixir.
Elixir.
Okay. That's like the solution that has everything you need. So you prepare your elixir. So I don't prepare your elixir. You prepare your ore to the ore preparation, and sometimes you do sieving because you want to get.
Hold it for
you do your sieving because you want to be handling a particular size range of material in your leaching system. So you do your sieving, and after you do your sieving, you also prepare your excipients. Then you stack your ore on a pad.
Right. You see which diameter we use.
Usually we use 2 millimeters, minus 2 millimeters. So it should be able to pass through 2 millimeters. Yes. So yeah.
You made me write 4 millimeters.
For this particular one.
Which one is the 2 millimeters?
Usually if you go in the industry, most people go use
Industry standard.
You get fine.
And there is a reason for that.
Yes, there's a reason for that. So basically, in most industries, they use the minus 2 millimeter because the minus 2 millimeter, when you look at how do you call it, the gold the word is not the formation of gold around, most of the gold particle sizes fall within the minus 2 millimeter range. So if you are trying to process your material, you don't want to handle too much material unnecessarily, because if you have something like this in there and it's obviously not going to contribute anything
So that's why you narrow it.
that's why you narrow it down to what you can find gold. Otherwise you'll be handling a lot of material that is not of benefit to you. Yeah, so that's why we use the minus 2 millimeters. Yes, so after you do your screening and you've gotten the material that you use, then you stack your material on the bag. Now, depends on the mineralogy of the ore that you are handling. Sometimes you need to crush and grind, and even form agglomerates before doing your heat treatment.
But please pause there. You mentioned agglomerates, agglomeration and explain that.
So, agglomeration is you take the sample, right? After you take the sample, you add a bit of a binder to it. Usually the binder, the most commonly used binder is the Portland cement. That one too, if you want to use it, there are calculations that guide you as to which amount you should use per. So yes, that's for the agglomeration. Yes.
What's its purpose? What do you want to achieve with agglomeration?
With the agglomeration, it helps increase the pore spaces in your liquids. And if you have an increased pore space, it means you have an increased surface area.
Okay. I understand.
And it's also, and if you have a stack that is very high, maybe people are able to form stacks like as high as 5 meters, like 5 meters high. And if you have a stack like that and you don't agglomerate, sometimes when you pour the chemical on the surface, it's not able to seep through the material fast enough. But when you do the agglomeration, because you have pore spaces in there, the chemical is able to move from the top to the various levels. Exactly.
When you say you use a binding agent,
Yes.
what is the cement to bind put up?
Okay, so the way the agglomeration is done, you take the ore, you put it in a roller, you add a little amount of cement into the roller. Now when you put it inside and you roll, the material forms a nucleus. So it forms, let's say, a center. Then with the center, with the binding agent added, the center just keeps attracting the other, taking the other material around to it. So it sticks to it and it forms a ball. But not because there are a lot of nucleus in there. It doesn't form one ball. It forms so many balls. So there's so many balls. So they are just ball. And if you stack a number of balls together, you get pore spaces. So that's how the agglomeration is done. So you can use it. You can even use a trommel for agglomeration. You just have to put the ore inside. You put your binding agent inside. It rolls. Whatever comes out will be in the form of agglomerate. Yes. But then over here with this experiment, we didn't use agglomeration. We did it straightforward. Yeah. So we prepared our material by sieving it. After we sieved it, we stacked it on our pad. Then we poured the exhibient on it. Right now the exhibient is on it. It's going to seep through the material. As it's seeping through the material, it's going to dissolve all the solid wood that is in the system. Now, it's very effective if you are doing this. If leaching in general is very effective if you have minute particle sizes of gold, because as we all know, the larger the surface area of the material, the faster the dissolution. Like if you put cube sugar in water and you put granulated sugar in water, the granulated one is all faster than the one. So It's basically the same principle. Yes. So, as you pour the chemical in there, it's going to dissolve the minute gold in the system. After it dissolves and it gets into solution, now you go to the recovery process. Now, the recovery process, we have two common ones. We have the zinc cementation or zinc precipitation process, and we have the carbon adsorption process. So the zinc precipitation process, that one, you need a clear solution. So the pregnant solution is filtered in order to get a clear solution. Then the clear solution, when it passes through the zinc foil, the gold is deposited on the surface of the zinc foil. Then after you scrape, then you smelt, and you get your gold. And for the carbon one, when you have carbon in a pregnant solution, what the carbon does is that it absorbs the gold onto its surface. After it absorbs the gold onto its surface, it goes through. We have a number of processes. You can do elution, you can do direct smelting, depending on the setup that you have. So with the elution, that one you use a cathode and an anode. The gold is attracted to the cathode. And for the smelting, that one you apply heat, because various metals and substances have different melting points. You can set the furnace to a particular melting point. That's because they have different melting points. When they melt in different densities. They melt in layers. So based on the layers, you can, what they do is after they get the layer, they hit it with a hammer in order to break off the loose ones. Yes. Yes. So that is for the.
That is a typical.
Yeah. Blacksmith, like
that's what they do.
That's what they do.
What actually takes place at the filtration process on the pad? How do you filter?
Well, the filtration is just direct filtration. So some people you can use filter paper or you can use cloth.
What are we going to use?
We are going to use a cloth because we have a filter. So what we do is, where the valve is, when we are about to release the valve, we are going to cover it with a cloth and to sieve. So when you do the sieving, all the solution that will come out will be sieved, so they'll be clear. And if it's not clear, like I said earlier, the zinc is not able to attach itself to the zinc foil. So you do the sieving. You do the sieving, then you get your clear solution. But if you are using carbon, it doesn't necessarily have to be sieved, because carbon works with. But with the zinc, you have to make sure that.
So in this process, which one will you be using? Is it the carbon or the zinc?
We have both, so it depends on the time we have on our hand. If it's possible, but I think we'll use the zinc. The main reason being that with the carbon, we will need a lot of material or equipment that we don't have here present. But if you want to see gold today, right now, with what we have available, we will use the zinc.
Thank you.
Come on now.
Come on.
How Jano? Darling.
So many minutes three. You don't quite bridge. Your friend saying patience. Who are the trapper? Tony. Anthony. Jonathan. Say. Yeah, the chemical for phobia bar. It be gold, and then I get test. That's how we see a friend. Now, can't you move phone off?
Now you are doing well compared to other areas.
What do you think, Mama?
Anderson looking eager. Huh?
Kojo, how do you also measure zinc foil to be used? What quantity and so on?
Because it depends on the concentration of the ore. Usually what they do is you have to look at the gold you are expecting, then use it to calculate the amount of surface area of zinc you need for that particular
surface area.
Yes, of
But
zinc you need.
with this sliced one, how do you calculate surface area of zinc? This sliced one.
If it's sliced and you want the accurate figure, it means you have to take measurement of each. Or
those plenty things.
The other option is that you can weigh it. Then after you weigh it, you use the specific gravity to calculate the volume.
Okay.
Because specific gravity is basically density. So density is mass over volume. When you know density is mass over volume, and you know the specific gravity is the density. If you know the mass, you can calculate for the volume.
Okay. Yeah.
You go. We can on a pan break. You?
Yeah.
For okay. You know. For pan break.
I just say we need to mean our name.
Solution.
Solution. Second.
Second.
See, yeah, see. Say what the why I pressure table. Why do I say? It will dissolve.
Prof, enjoy your car.
Yankwa dia so.
Panel do check
Mama Sama.
Yaba akakumi.
Mama sama ne wu.
Oh, wow.
And I'm saying
Okay, and Jonathan, it's a traffic in
I'm saying that tire.
By 30 minutes. You do it by 30
Oh,
minutes.
wait, you see, by 5 minutes.
You who gold, no?
Now, not gold in the man can't say but this is not a form it should come because we are not saying that when you use this method, you need to pan. That is a system we want to do away with. Okay? And the was method, it should form part of the slab. Slag and can go to no better. Now zinc portion of honor, so it will hit here. We call it pattern. I zinc, a cover, not go.
But when you send
No, for the actual. We ain't me fancy.
Yes, we will say chemicals are huge, my fire dissolving.
No, it's
dissolving and kill.
I am pushing you.
almost pan and say, so when you know, bit more. And then in them, that was the sign that.
What you showed us.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, you know,
The camera
I've magnified it.
iPhone.
You can see them in
I can see. With the light. No?
You can see.
No, those things.
I don't know. That's a shadow, no?